I promise I can explain. Sonic Frontiers, before it released, had one of the longest development times Sonic Team was ever given, at least for a while. This was because for the first couple of years, the developers had no idea what they wanted to make. They just had to keep it as far away from this as possible. A lot was riding off of this game. The pressure must have really been on the team to deliver something exceptional and keep up Sonic's image and continue riding the high of the Sonic movie, and not this or this. So of course, naturally, Sega said, game ships tomorrow. What? Game ships tomorrow. But we need more time! Don't care! Don't care. We send out copies tonight. Good luck. And while the game did turn out to be a huge success and turned out to be my absolute favorite Sonic game thus far, some sacrifices had to be made. This includes a lot of cut content, but mainly a lot of cut polish. And while several people have made excellent videos about the best glitches and exploits for speedrunning due to lack of said polish, hell, even Sonic Team did that themselves, I want to explore the completely and utterly useless quirks and glitches. Most of these don't even save any time or even have any practical use, but they are genuinely hilarious and are really interesting. Starting off with some little tidbits between versions, the Nintendo Switch. With its absolute state-of-the-art Tegra X1 that is ancient, and its less than 4 gigabytes of RAM available for games, the Nintendo Switch version of Sonic Frontiers had to make compromises. The flowers disappear when you jump. You might as well just not even have them at that point. And relating to the draw distance, the camera seemingly can't decide what it does and doesn't want to render, especially in the corners of the screen. When standing on top of the first tower in Kronos Island, you can notice how when I turn the camera, shadows and other objects will draw in on the edges, but when I go to look at them straight on, they disappear again. This doesn't happen nearly as bad in any other version of the game because, you know, the systems they're on aren't constantly begging for mercy, but it's still present in every other version of the game, including the PC version, just to a much lesser effect. And it's also an issue that I've noticed in other games as well, so I can't really blame this on the lack of polish. It's really just a quirk not even important enough at all to deal with, but it is a little weird that it happens, and I've always wanted to look into that. But back on topic and staying on the Switch version, on Kronos, if you make your way down to the river and turn around to look at this piece of debris, you'll notice how they just didn't bother to model that shit. It's likely just an oversight left over by the lower detailed models. But I also want you to take a look at this rock on Chaos Island. If you have eyes and can see, you'll notice that its texture stretched out way too long. Mind you that this is just out in the open, and this area isn't hard to get to at all. In fact, for the Switch version, Chaos Island, and quite frankly the whole game, has this weird thing with constantly changing to lower detailed models right in front of your face, to the point where the rocks look like they're constantly shape-shifting as you just exist around them. This also causes weird inconsistencies in the Switch version because while the rocks change form constantly, the collision is still the same, meaning that sometimes you can just phase right through rocks because they're not actually supposed to be there. And another really strange thing about Chaos Island that is in every version of the game is this specific piece of geometry that also wasn't modeled. But this time, it doesn't have collision either, meaning that you can just enter and then begin to walk underneath some of the geometry in Chaos Island. It's that easy. But you know what? Let's get to the really good stuff. Are you ready? The birds can fly underwater. Yeah. Hey, do we have anything better than that? Oh yeah! There are so many glitches that involve launching Sonic in this game. The one you just saw is called a hit and run, and if you're familiar at all with Sonic Frontier speedrunning, then you have definitely heard of it before. But have you ever seen this? Oh my god, what? This is called cross/warp, and if you activate it at an enemy as they're dying or offloaded, the game will get confused on what Sonic is attacking and where he's going and throw him into a default set of coordinates as a failsafe, which is usually just the origin point of the whole island. As for why Sonic's arc here is so big, when you perform a cross/, the game will draw a circle around what enemy Sonic is targeting and change its size relative to how big the enemy is. But since Sonic is effectively targeting the origin point of the entire fucking island, you can only imagine the circle being huge, which is why this is happening. The funniest thing about this glitch is that you would imagine it being useful for speedruns, but it is entirely unviable. Not only is it generally unpredictable, but the method I used to pull it off requires 2 frame-perfect inputs. One right here, and one right here. And since this game is running at 60 frames per second, this means that I had a 16 millisecond window for both of these in order to pull this off. And this has to be one of my favorite useless glitches in the entire game. This one isn't useless and is actually used in speedrunning often, but this is called an air dash and is an example of the spin dash being really weird and barely polished at all. You can just spin dash in midair. No other Sonic game has this. I also find it kind of bizarre that when you spin dash or even drop dash off of something, you can still jump twice in midair, kind of like having 2 whole double jumps. Most games tend to only give you a single jump if you're in midair, regardless of how you got there, including Sonic Frontiers. So just the fact that these dashes let you do this is so funny to me. It's not even like that in Sonic Adventure. What's going on here? Here's a bonus glitch for you from Sonic Unleashed of all places. This one is pretty popular, but if you pause while grinding on a rail in somewhere like the Spagonia hub, Sonic will stop dead on the rail but continue playing his grinding animation, which looks really silly. So of course, Sonic Team took inspiration from one of their finest creations and implemented a new rail grinding glitch. If you use Cyclone Kick on an enemy right below a rail, Sonic will end up snapping to it and start grinding. But instead of the normal grinding animation, he uses the falling animation instead. Everything still works normally too. You can even boost and it looks exceptionally silly. But once you're off, or literally do anything else, Sonic will correct himself and things go right back to normal. Funny thing is there is another glitch involving rails. More specifically, this rail in Kronos Island. So normally you're supposed to jump on this rail and just keep making your way up until the final rail sends you off with the memory token. But if you instead decide to just ride out this specific rail, then hit the ground, the game genuinely doesn't know what to do and creates these invisible walls and boundaries to try to get you back onto the rail, I guess? But as you can see, just me trying to get back on doesn't work because there's now a wall around it, meaning that I now have to navigate around that said wall, which, by the way, won't even disappear until you finish this section. I'm completely serious when I say this. I have no idea why or how this happens, and it confuses me so much. Like, what is happening here and what is the point? Hey, so how's Supreme doing? Cool. So if you know anything about Sonic Frontier speedruns, you get the idea. Just about all the Titans in the game have a spawn coordinate that can be accessed unintentionally and cause the boss to spawn. Funnily enough, none of these were patched out of the game except for this one. This only happens in 1.40, the update that introduced the final horizon. This was patched in the next update, 1.41, which was the one that made all the new characters be able to kill the mini-bosses in 2 seconds. Unfortunately, since this glitch only occurs in an older version, I have no way of getting my own footage for this glitch, because there's no way to downpatch the game or anything.
There is.
Are you kidding me? Okay, so there is a way to downpatch Sonic Frontiers to an earlier version on Steam. So once you install a separate instance of 1.40, then go back to the specific spot in the open zone, he now just appears. Uninvited. See, the funny thing about this glitch is that for all the other Titans, this oversight is insanely helpful. It lets you defeat the bosses way earlier and progress through the game without having to get all the Chaos Emeralds first. And this shaves off potential hours worth of time off of a speedrun. But here, he doesn't do anything. He's just standing there, menacingly. Actually, this is kind of detrimental to your game, because despite the fact that he's not even doing anything, he still has collision, meaning that it's slightly harder to climb up the final trial tower because he's literally in the way. You can see why this was patched. But it's a really surreal experience seeing the characters just stand on him. Makes me feel kind of uneasy too. Like, does anyone else get that vibe from this? Just me? Okay. Staying on topic of glitches that only exist in 1.40, they somehow screwed up Sonic's quickstep. In any other version of the game, including the earlier versions, Sonic will quickstep to the left and the right, and the animations look just fine and it's cool, I guess. In 1.40, somehow, they screwed it all up. When Sonic quicksteps to the left, the animation's normal. But when Sonic quicksteps to the right, yeah, okay. They accidentally got him to use the wrong animation? I genuinely don't understand how this happened. Like, the left quickstep animation is still fine, but he also uses the left animation for the right quickstep too. Why would they even need to touch Sonic's character pack for this update? You know what? Let's talk about Supreme again. And the final boss of Another Story, if you use the Grand Slam move on the end, this is what is supposed to play. However, you can force the game to use the Grand Slam attack on the purple umbilical cord thing on its neck and cause this to happen instead. The funny thing about this too is that you can tell just from watching the way the camera moves what animation this is supposed to be. It lines up perfectly with the one used on Giganto in the first Supreme fight, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem Invisible Supersonic is canon because the move doesn't actually even do anything in the end. It doesn't even do any damage to the cords, so we've effectively just wasted everyone's time. And that's not the only glitch you can do during an encounter like this. During the mini-boss with the spider, while you're in the skydiving section, you can just perform what I like to call the nuh-uh and just attack a little guy, quick step out of there, and fall. And yeah, you can just kind of walk around now. The game still thinks you're in combat though, so you can't go to cyberspace or open the map or do anything except get far enough away for the spider to just do that somehow. I guess this one is less of a glitch in the traditional sense and just more of an oversight. Hey, did you know video games are hard to make? Well, check this out! Just that little toggle alone has introduced at least 100+ more glitches and unintended side effects. Well, what changed? Who knows? Good luck! Yeah, just changing your game from 30 FPS to 60 FPS, or even vice versa, can introduce new glitches that aren't normally seen in one frame rate or the other. Sonic Frontiers is one of those games that has some strange differences between whether or not you're playing in 30 FPS or 60. One of my personal favorite weird things is that if you set the frame rate to 30 FPS, you can just decide to ignore this wall in Uranos and clip your way into the void of unseen geometry. There isn't really much use for this glitch, and it's kinda neat to explore around the weird void inside this mountain, but there isn't really much to see. You can, however, use this glitch to clip inside the room that holds the white emerald, and it looks really bizarre. Hey, you wanna see something really weird? Yeah, this is where we are now. There isn't really much to this one. It takes a god-awful amount of effort to pull off, and this is your reward. If you grab a rocket boost capsule, but then get hit and die right before you can land activating it, this is just what happens. It's not even useful in speedruns. The only thing it does is make you question how these games are coded. Like, why is he like this? If you think that's crazy though, you haven't seen anything yet. There he goes. I have zero idea why this happens, but for some reason the devs never thought of Sonic jumping here, I guess, and we all paid the price for it. But this last glitch that I'm going to show you in this video is my absolute favorite one in the game, and also the weirdest. So here's how you do it. Go to this section in Kronos Island right before getting the white Chaos Emerald. Then what you want to do is jump, then boost, and just try to narrowly avoid the springs. And once you've done that, the rest is just done for you. Sonic is so automated nowadays, even the glitches are. But this glitch is my absolute favorite in the whole game because it's like looking into just how the environment is put together. And seeing what happens when you leave the rendered boundaries of the game is really cool. At first, you'll notice some weird quirks like the sky being really nauseating to look at. Notice how the texture disproportionately stretches when you move the camera. You can also get a better look at some of the islands that are scattered along the background. It isn't until you get further that things start to really get messed up. Just look at Sonic. Does he look like he's having a good time? That looks painful. You might need to get that looked at. You'll also start to notice some funny glitches with the lighting when you get this far out, like how there isn't any at all. Oh. Okay, yeah, there is. It seems whenever it transitions from day to night, the game just doesn't quite do it very good from this distance. And at some point, Sonic just straight up disappears depending on the camera angle. He also just looks barely recognizable. It almost makes you feel bad for the guy. I let this go on for about 40 minutes before I decided enough was enough and let Sonic return back from purgatory. Sonic, I am so sorry. Oh my god, these fucking Coco. And that's about all the useless, funny, and insane glitches I could find regarding Sonic Frontiers. I love this game so much, and honestly, I wasn't sure how I'd feel after digging deeper into it like this. It's weird seeing a game you've played so much get broken apart in this way, but honestly, after seeing everything, it just made me love the game even more. And I cannot wait to see what's next for Sonic's silly open zone adventures, even if it's significantly more polished than this. I want to give a big special shout out to the Sonic Frontier speedrunning community, more specifically the Sonic Frontier speedrunning Discord, for pointing me towards some useless glitches that I showed in this video. And I want to give a giant personal shout out to a speedrunner named Shine. She has been a tremendous help to me and personally reached out to me to give me literally everything she knew about the game. This genuinely would not have been possible without her help. If you know any more stupid, useless, or insane glitches about Sonic Frontiers, or even any other Sonic game, I would love to hear it in the comments. If there are enough, then I might even make a part 2. And if you like what you saw, then please consider leaving a like or subscribing. It really goes a long way. I would also like to give a shout out to my channel members, because their support helps make what I do better. And if you would like to show some support and join the row of people on the screen, then please feel free to become a channel member yourself. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching.